Welcome to It's Your Call. I'm your host, Rob Melnichuk, and I trust you stay tuned for the next 90 minutes of talk media. Talk that I pray challenges your worldview to consider and embrace the worldview of Jesus Christ, the core of Christianity, according to what the Scriptures teach. Scriptures that have the power to change lives. Tonight, my special guest is a gentleman who suffered incredibly as a victim of child abuse, and yet through his resiliency and faith, walked a journey that led to complete wholeness and recovery. Author of Child of Woe and an international figure in child abuse cases, Maury Blair is with me tonight to share his story.
I spent countless nights staring out that window, alone, in the dark, where at least the physical pain wasn't present. I felt the frenzy of unwantedness. I tried to understand why this hunter hunted me.
Where is that boy?
But I was too terrified, too fearful of my life to ask anyone.
Where's that black bastard? I'm gonna kill him.
I could only question myself in my solitude. There was no escape from the old man. Why does he hate me?
You black bastard. Please no.
Why doesn't anyone want me? I'm Maury Blair. This is my story.
Tonight, my story. Child of Woe with Maury Blair. You're going to hear in just a few moments Maury sharing his personal testimony, his journey, what it was like, all that he went through, the pain, the anger, the struggle, all of it. But then also later on in the program, we're going to talk about steps to recovery, how or who changed Maury's life, and different steps that he took to help through that process, as well as, if we can, we're going to get to signs of abuse in children's lives, as well as in parents' lives looking back and looking forward. Tonight's a very important program, and I trust that you will stay tuned. And a little later on, have the courage to call in with a question or with a comment regarding this incredible subject that is affecting so many children today in our world. But I also want you to be aware that before we do open up the lines, beginning now and any time throughout this program, we do have prayer partners willing to pray with you, to encourage you, and to assist you, possibly in your journey of faith, to a personal relationship with Jesus Christ. The number to call them is 1-866-273-4444. A few moments we're going to open up the lines, but also through the social media. If you want to send an email, a question, or a comment, then please send it to itsyourcall@crossroads.ca, or go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/itsyourcall. Click that you like us, and then post a comment or a question. And we'll do our best to engage you in the conversation as well and what's taking place tonight. But tonight, my story, Child of Woe. I met Maury Blair a number of years ago when I graduated from Bible college, and it was my first pastorate. I had heard of Maury, his story, invited him to come and share it with my youth group. And ever since then, we've been good friends, keeping in touch every year. And I'm not going to tell you how many years ago that was, but Maury has just been a tremendous blessing, not only to my life and family, but also to countless thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people around the world. I want you to welcome Maury Blair. Maury, welcome to Your Call.
Thank you very much, Rob. I'm really delighted to be here. I've been watching your show occasionally and really enjoying it.
Well, thank you. You're up at 1 a.m. in the morning.
I
now.
wake up in the middle of the night and click it on, and way I got there's Rob sitting there, and I've seen you with Dan Statham and Todd Cantillon and different ones. Yeah,
Excellent. Well,
enjoyed
thank you
it.
so much.
Yeah, very good.
Really appreciate that. Well, Maury, we want to get right into your story. You're the author of the book Child of Woe, which is your personal story.
Yes.
And we're going to take some time just to have a conversation about the very beginning.
Yes.
And I'm going to let you just begin to tell your story. And for those of you watching, in a few moments, we're going to open up the phone lines. But the challenge will be the courage to call in and to either ask a question or to make a comment. But I think you'll find with Maury sharing what his story and journey was like, as well as what revolutionized and changed him as a man to be able to deal with it, there'll be a lot more peace and comfort to be able to call in and we can have a great conversation together. Maury, take us back to the beginning.
Yeah, I take you back. I guess I could say that my story is really my mother's story. My mother was married, had 3 children. Her husband died. She got an offer from her brother-in-law to marry her and help her raise the children. He was a very violent man, an alcoholic, and she turned him down. He was very angry.
Okay.
So my mother decided, she didn't know what she was going to do. She had no money, no support. So she gets a call from a couple of sisters in America, in Flint, Michigan. And they want her to come and live with them. They'll give her free room and board. And the kids can stay with Grandma and Grandpa in Paris, Ontario. And she can go over there, she can go back and forward, save enough money, and eventually go back and get those children and raise them in America.
Okay.
So she goes there, and things are working out very well. She's back and forward, enjoying it. And she meets a man over there by the name of Maury Blair. Maurice Forrest Blair was his full name.
Okay.
And his nickname was Maury. So she gets into a relationship with him, and it isn't long before she discovers she's pregnant. Now she's got a problem. She knows he isn't going to want to raise 3 kids back in Canada. And so she decides the best thing to do is just leave. So she comes back to Canada pregnant.
Okay.
And she tells everyone that she'd been married to this guy named Maury Blair, and they got a divorce, but she's carrying his baby. Now, she'd never been married to him, but she is carrying his baby.
Okay.
When she comes back, this brother-in-law, who'd wanted to marry her before she left, meets her, wants to meet her in the bar. He does, and he said, I'll give you one more chance. I will marry you and raise my brother's 3 kids. But that piece of garbage, get rid of that baby, and I will marry you. So my mother has to make a decision. And you know, your decisions determine your future, Rob, as you know.
Yeah.
And people need to understand that. Your decisions determine your future. And my mom decided, on a temporary basis, to give me away. I don't know where she sent me. I never did find out where she sent me temporarily.
So she did send you away?
And then she married him. Yes.
Okay.
But then after she married him, she breaks the deal. And she brings me into the home. Wow. And that's when the whole thing went crazy. I have an older brother in Winnipeg. His name's Ray, and he's out there in Winnipeg, and he remembers all these things. And he tells me, the first day he remembers me lying on a blanket in the living room. I was a baby. I don't remember this. And he said, they're all excited. I got a new little brother. His name's Maury. And off to the door opens, and in comes his uncle, who's now adopted him, sees me for the first time. My brother said, I was all excited about having a little brother, and all of a sudden, this, as we call him, the old man walks in, sees me, goes berserk. He kicked me like I was a piece of garbage against the wall. My brother thought I was dead. And then he went looking for my mother in a rage. So my brother said, I picked you up, I held you in my arms, I thought you were dead, and he said, all of a sudden your eyes opened, you began to cry. And he said, I looked down at your face and said, Maury, it isn't going to be good for you to live in this house because my new dad hates you already. For the next 13 and a half years, Rob, I was a victim of severe child abuse behind the closed doors of my own home.
Yeah.
Now, it's one thing to be abused in foster care or even social service or whatever, but this was right behind the closed doors of my own home.
Wow.
I was isolated. I was raised in the dark. I wasn't allowed to eat meals at the table. I never celebrated birthdays or Christmas. My stepfather was so angry at my mother for bringing me into his life because he did not want me. And the reason he called me the term black bastard was because I was so dark compared to the others.
Oh, I see.
Fairly
Dark
light.
skin.
Yeah, dark skin. And so that was his favorite term, plus many things I can't repeat in public.
Yeah.
But that was the things he called me. And like he'd go to work at 7 in the morning, work till 5, go to the bar, come home in a violent mood, and I'd be upstairs in that boy's bedroom in the dark. And I'd be waiting. There was a little air vent I used to curl myself around because I couldn't have a light on. I had to be in the dark. Look down over the kitchen. I could smell supper cooking. That was my warning. He's coming home. The smell of supper warned me he'll be here any minute. And I'd be frightened and terrified thinking, am I going to die today? Because he would tell me, I am going to tear you to shreds with my bare hands. You are going to die, you piece of garbage. I'm going to kill you. So every day, I guess I kind of felt like it was my last day. Wow. And I'd listen. The door would slam. And no one talked about child abuse when I was a child, Rob. We're talking more about it today. Well, the problem isn't solved, but we're talking more about it.
Yeah.
But I had to learn
to read his moods, to defend myself. If he stormed into the house in a rage and up those stairs, I'm toast. I'll crawl under a bed and hide. There's 2 beds in there. Or I'll go on the bed and pull the covers over my head. But he's going to hunt me down in the dark and find me and bash me and leave me unconscious on the floor. If I hear the door slam, or I don't hear the door slam, and all of a sudden I hear a creak on the stairs, he's coming for me. He's sneaking up the stairs, and he comes in that room on his hands and knees. And you know, I'll never forget, the smell of the alcohol was nauseating. I never drank. All my buddies drank when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I was the only one that didn't, the stench of it.
Yeah.
And they'd hunt me down, of course, and bash and batter me. Other times he'd come home, and there wouldn't be the same impact. Maybe he talked too long at the bar and didn't drink enough, I don't know. But he'd come in, and he'd kind of be grumbling. And I learned to read that, so I didn't hide. I just stand by the window.
Okay.
And I didn't move. And I talked to my mind, I'll never forget. I'd say, don't move, Maury, don't move. If you don't move, he may not hit you. So if I didn't move, it wouldn't trigger him. So he would stand on that door. He might curse me for 5 or 6 minutes, calling me all kinds of names up and down. I stand perfectly still. And in my mind, I'm saying, you can do it, Maury. You can do it. You can do it. And he would curse me. He'd get bored. He'd go downstairs, have his supper, and I would just sink to the floor. And you know what I discovered looking back over the years, Rob, was the things he said to me were more devastating than the things he did to me.
Really?
Now, I had bruises all over my body.
Yeah.
I really did. But when I look back, I think the terms he described me in, I conjured up this image that I was a foul, ugly piece of garbage, the most foul person on the face of the earth. The power of the tongue.
Really?
The book of James talks
Yeah.
about the power of the tongue.
Yeah.
He was destroying me, my self-image, with the words and attitude that he showed. And so I was just a frightened little child who didn't know where to turn. I found out years later, neighbors all knew about it.
Yeah.
They all knew about it,
Wow.
but nobody wanted to get involved, sad to say.
Well, Maury, when did it begin? I mean, you were a little baby.
Just a
actually
baby,
began
yes, yes.
But like, how did the story evolve? I mean, as you're growing,
Yes.
as a toddler, I mean,
Oh.
like, were you having to hide in this room then?
Oh, I had to stay up there. I couldn't come down, eat at the table. I was given a message very clearly, Rob, that you're not part of this family.
Okay.
Your name isn't Gil. You're not part of this family. You stay upstairs in the dark. I don't come down. I don't mingle. And so
So you basically lived in this room?
upstairs in that room. Now, when I went out to play, I had to be very careful to get in up there before he got home, especially in the winter.
okay, I see.
Because if I was out in the winter, I wouldn't get in. I'd be frightened. I used to find myself hiding under verandas with an old blanket my mother gave me. I couldn't go home because I didn't get in before he got home. So I had to be so careful. My life had to be so ordered that it was really dangerous for me. One day, Rob, I was playing in the yard with my friends. It was summertime. And I hadn't watched the clock, right? And I didn't know this, but he came along the riverbank up into the basement, up the stairs. He looked out and saw me playing with my friends in the yard.
How old were you about?
I would be about 6 years of age. Now, my mother told me years later, he couldn't stand to see me having fun. Oh, that would just send him into a rage. Well, he looks out the window, and there's little Maury out there playing with his friends. He lost it. Now, he never in any way shown to them that he hated me.
Okay.
Except this one time. He opens up the door and he raves, you curses me, says, get in here. I'm stunned. I didn't know he was home. I'm just, and my friends are all looking at me and saying, Maury, what'd you do? What's wrong? Why is he calling you? I couldn't say anything. In front of him, I walk in, he shuts the door, he throws me against the wall, cursing me and pounds me and beats me, and I have to crawl up the stairs into the bedroom and just lie on the floor. But they never understood. That's the first time they'd ever seen him. But he lost it because he looked out and saw me. So I had to be very, very careful that I didn't have any fun when he was home. You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
My life was on constant alert, constantly on the edge, and always thinking every day, honestly, remember, thinking, I'm going to die.